Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. In today's video, we are going to be unboxing, taking a first look, and reviewing the Pioneer X5 Pro electric skateboard from WowGo. The Pioneer X5 is a premium boosted style street electric skateboard that is offered in two versions. The standard version currently retails for around $1,000 and normally retails for $1,200. The Pro version, which we will be reviewing today, currently retails for around $1,100 and normally retails for $1,300. As a premium boosted style street board, the Pioneer X5 is really competing with key options including the Meepo Voyager and the Backfire Zealot X. This board is loaded with a lot of very cool features and premium components that have truly impressed me and continue to push the e-skate industry forward. So getting into the unboxing, this board came single boxed with a nice custom print on the outer box. The board sat under a single layer of foam and was well surrounded with foam for shipping protection. The board arrived in a really good condition. Now getting into the accessories, the first accessory included in the box is a classic WowGo sticker set which they ship with all of their boards. Second, there is a user manual which also has a lot of important information on the board to keep it running well and ensure that all of the features that are available with this board are being used and maximized. Third, there is the remote controller, which is a classic generic Hobbywing remote seen across many electric skateboards. I personally love this remote controller as it has a nice rubberized finish, a good screen, is ergonomic to hold, and feels solid overall. Next, there is an Allen key tool with 3 different hex sizes for board maintenance. Another tool included is a Skate 2 tool, which is pretty standard. The charger is a really nice looking one with a smooth finish. The charger charges at a rate of 4 amps, which is pretty fast, and uses a unidirectional 3-pin port, which is starting to become more common in these boards. To go with the charger, there is also a standard US wall power adapter, and to charge the remote controller, there is a USB-C type cable. Lastly, WowGo have included a spare set of 270mm belts. Spare belts are always a nice touch on belt drive boards as the belts inevitably need maintenance and replacement. And that's everything included with the WowGo Pioneer X5. Here's a closer look at all of the accessories included with this board. With the unboxing done, we are now going to take a first look at the board. At first glance, the X5 looks great from an aesthetic perspective. The colorful wheels, trucks, fully protected drivetrain, and deck instantly stood out as different on this board. Right out of the box, I could tell that the X5 is a notch above a lot of the other mid-tier level boards from WowGo. Now getting into the components used on this board, the first part is the deck. The deck is one of the most similar that I've seen to the boosted decks in terms of the outline shape. The deck is 38 inches long and 10 inches wide at its widest point. It's made from 8 layers of Canadian maple and features shock-absorbing grip tape with WowGo decals. The concave is significant for a board of this style and shape, which is unusual. The standard and Pro versions have very similar but slightly different decks, the difference being that the Pro has the ambient LEDs built into the rim of the deck. In my opinion, the integrated LEDs are one of the coolest features about this board as they have various features with practical utility. We'll have a full section just on the LEDs later on in this video detailing this. To protect the deck, there are subtle yet strong nose and tail guards mounted below the trucks, which are especially important to protect the LEDs on the Pro version. The wheels used on the X5 are the Cloud Wheels 105mm Galaxy Pros. These urethane wheels have a 65mm contact patch and a treaded pattern, which is designed to provide a better grip and more stable riding experience. Interestingly, the wheels don't have a durometer advertised, but just like the 105mm boosted clone wheels, they have holes built into the wheel for added comfort. Like many wheels these days, the core that couples with the pulley is hidden by an outside cover. The true pattern can only be seen from the inside, which is an ABEC similar pattern like other Cloud wheels. As a side note, I also think these wheels look really fun with an awesome colorful design and interesting fonts. The trucks are a second component that varies between the standard and the Pro version. The trucks used on the Pro version are 50-degree precision CNC machined RKP trucks. These are higher quality, stronger, and more stable than the standard 45-degree die-cast trucks on the standard version board. Both are 9.2 inches wide, which is a little wider than a standard longboard truck, but shorter than most extended trucks. The CNC machine trucks have a nice silver finish and just look absolutely gorgeous with the channels cut into them. Now moving to the back truck, we have the drivetrain of the board, which is another unique feature to the Pioneer. The trucks have built-in CNC mounts and a fully enclosed belt drivetrain. Most belt drive boards have a belt cover, but the X5 has the pulleys and belts fully enclosed by a guard. This is designed to keep debris out to protect the belts and to provide a quieter ride. The motors used on this board are dual 6368 2500 watt motors, giving the board a combined 5000 watts of theoretical maximum motor power. The drivetrain overall looks very well built, and the fully sealed aspect is a differentiator from a lot of the competition. Now, moving into the electronics, this is a boosted style board with split enclosures. The front enclosure holds the battery while the rear enclosure holds the ESC. The front enclosure is big and clunky, holding a 14S 2P battery made from Samsung 50S cells for a total of 504 watt-hours. Samsung 50S cells are some of the newest premium cells being used in the e-skate industry with a really high capacity that make this an energy-dense pack. The 14S voltage is also higher than the typical 12S seen on most boards, giving the board a little bit of added power. The charge port for the board is also located at the front of the enclosure under a rubber cap. The ESC in the rear enclosure is the newest 14S Hobbywing version 7.0 ESC. This ESC can handle up to 55 amps per motor, which isn't bad at all. The ESC also has the ability to connect to mobile devices for board customization, which is a great feature that we will focus on more later in the video. Overall, the Hobbywing ESCs have a great reputation and have been excellent to me in the past. The rear enclosure also has built-in CNC machined heatsinks on the top to keep the motor controller running cool. The rear enclosure also contains the power switch of the board. Overall, both enclosures seem pretty big and bulky given what they hold. They have sharper, boxier features with divots. They don't necessarily look bad, but I have seen some more sleekly designed enclosures on some other boards that I prefer more aesthetically. Having gone over all of the parts and taking a first look at this board, the WowGo Pioneer X5 feels well constructed with many unique features and quality parts. The deck with integrated LEDs, CNC machined trucks, fully sealed belt drivetrain, and 14S 2P Samsung 50S battery stand out for this board. So having gone over all of the components used on this board, we are now going to dive into the review portion of this video. This section of the video will be split into categories detailing each of the important specs or aspects of this board, which can be easily skipped between using the chapters built into this video. The first category is the top speed of the board, and WowGo advertises that the top speed on the Pioneer X5 is 34 miles an hour or 55 kilometers an hour. Based on our top speed test, we were able to hit exactly 34 miles an hour according to the remote. 34 miles an hour is very fast for a street board, but is pretty easily achievable on this board if you really want to go that fast. The X5 felt relatively stable at top speed thanks to the 50-degree slightly extended RKP trucks. I rarely found myself using the full top speed of the board, usually topping out around 31 miles an hour on a typical ride. I like having that little extra bit of top speed for the occasional thrill, so 34 miles an hour was honestly ideal on this board. The Pioneer X5 is the fastest stock boosted style board that I've tried, likely as a result of that 14S battery, so the X5 is a solid option if you're looking for a fast board of this style. The second category is the range, and WowGo claims that the Pioneer X5 has a range of 22 miles or 35 kilometers. Range is of course subject to a variety of factors and can fluctuate greatly, but on our range test we were able to get 19.2 miles or 31 kilometers of range. This was achieved with an 150-pound rider, riding aggressively in pretty flat terrain in 75 Fahrenheit degree weather. The test range was about 13% lower than advertised, which is to be expected given the typically optimized test conditions for the advertised range. I would predict that riders should expect to get up to the advertised 22 miles of range from this board, and even a little more if riding less aggressively. This range is not bad, but I actually expect a little bit more for a board in this price range. For all the scenarios in which I've used this board, the range has been enough, so I have no issues with it. But if you do want more range, there are very similar boards to this that have a little bit more range for around the same price. Third up, we have the hill climbing of the board, which WowGo states is rated for 30 to 40%. I was not able to explicitly test this specification, but I took the board up some of the hills that I ride regularly to see how it handled. The results were very positive, and as expected, the X5 absolutely crushed the hills that I tested it on. The board had plenty of power and had no trouble accelerating up steep sections of hills. This is a board that's going to have little to no trouble going up pretty much any hill you throw at it, and it will bomb up any typical hill you'll encounter on a daily basis. This is one of the best performing street-specific boosted style boards that I've tested when it comes to hills, and the X5 is definitely worth a look if you need a good hill climbing performance board in a street package with a boosted style form factor. The fourth category is the acceleration and braking of the board, which can be a little bit more subjective of a topic. For starters, both the acceleration and the brakes are very strong yet smooth and intuitive, and I say that for a lot of boards now, but the X5 felt particularly smooth. One of the great things about this board is that the power of both the acceleration and the brakes for each of the speed modes can be customized within their mobile application. This allows for a more customized riding experience that is particularly useful for beginner riders looking to get comfortable with the board. In terms of raw strength at 100%, the acceleration off the line is fantastic and blows mid-tier level boards out of the water. It was immediately clear from the moment I stepped on this board that it falls into that premium feeling of acceleration. This being said, within premium options, the maximum acceleration is on the lower end and was a little less than I anticipated. Don't get me wrong, this board is very punchy, but I was able to tell a slight difference between the X5 and some of the other competitor premium options. Notably, while the X5 absolutely rips for a boosted style board, there are some 2-in-1s that are a notch above this. I think the balance between smoothness and raw power is centered a little bit more on smoothness with this board, so there is a trade-off for this. The brakes on the board are also very strong and are default set to 80% maximum. I kept them at 80% in the highest speed mode, but they can be further increased in strength through the app. One thing I noticed about the braking is that the rear wheels can skid a little bit under hard braking, which sometimes happens on these higher power street boards when the wheels aren't grippy enough. Overall, the acceleration and brakes are smooth with lots of user customizability and plenty of power. This is a board with acceleration and brakes suitable for beginners and advanced riders alike. The fifth category is the ride feeling and comfort of the board, which is another very subjective category. Throughout this video, we have described the Pioneer X5 as a boosted style street board, which entails a few things from the get-go just based on the design and component selection. For starters, the deck is pretty flexible with a springy feeling. This helps absorb the cracks and road vibrations while riding. While this deck is considered to be flexy, it is still one of the stiffer flexi decks that I've tried. This makes the board more stable at higher speeds compared to some other boosted style boards. Overall, the board strikes a great balance between flex and stability, yielding a springy yet stable riding experience. I personally also really liked the amount of concave on the deck, which kept me feeling more locked in compared to other similarly designed decks that have a shallow concave. The slightly extended trucks also aided in stability, but made turning and carving a little bit more difficult on the board. I'll take stability on a board this fast any day, so I feel that the extended trucks were a good call. The 50-degree truck geometry was noticeable as I had to tighten the bushings to get a more stable ride out of the box. This resulted in more difficult turning and a worse carving experience. I had to play around with the setup to get a good balance and ultimately found a setup that I was content with for cruising. I will say that this board is not very nimble for its style, and I still regularly find myself having to step off and move the board to make a sharp turn. The extended trucks, weight of the board, and stiff stock bushings all contribute to this. This is probably one of my biggest issues with the board when I use it for rides where I need lots of maneuverability, like commuting around a college campus. Essentially, I've found that to feel comfortable with the amount of power and speed this board has, I need to tighten the trucks, which results in this poor maneuverability. At the end of the day, it's all trade-offs, but I've had some difficulty finding a sweet spot on these 50-degree trucks. Another thing that I noticed almost immediately about this board was the ride height. The top-mounted high-angle trucks, riser pad bash guards, and large wheels all combined for a pretty high ride height. This is something that I got used to pretty fast, but it impacts the way that the board handles. I personally like being a little bit closer to the ground for a lower center of gravity and better stability. Switching gears slightly, the comfort of the Pioneer X5 is excellent. As I mentioned, the deck has enough flex to absorb all of the road vibrations, making for a comfortable ride. The large and soft 105mm Galaxy wheels further complement the comfort of the board, tackling all sorts of obstacles with ease. The wheels and deck really just ate up any big cracks, sticks, and potholes instead of throwing me off like some other street boards would. I felt confident riding at high speeds, even on bumpy and bad quality roads. The concave of the board also contributes to a comfortable riding experience on longer rides as it's not too aggressive. Overall, the X5 is a comfortable, confidence-inspiring, fun-to-ride street board that blends performance with a boosted style package. Sixth, we have the miscellaneous topics section, which consists of some of my other key observations about this board. The first are the built-in LEDs on the perimeter of the deck, which only come on the Pro version. I thought it was a bit of a gimmick at first, but I've fallen in love with this feature after using this board for the past couple months, especially as it's gotten darker. It is now one of my favorite features about this board. The LEDs can be turned on from the remote controller by double tapping the power button, which is great so you can turn them on or off mid-ride. With each cycle of turning the lights on or off, the light changes between one of three modes: solid, fade or breathing, and flashing. In any case, when the brakes are applied, the light on the back section blinks at a high frequency. This helps alert traffic that you're slowing down and increases visibility at night. I use these lights anytime that I ride at night, and it really helps me be seen by traffic. They're a lot brighter than I was expecting, and I truly feel like they make a big difference. One thing that I do wish is that the color of the lights could be changed, as they can only be orange for this version of the board. For now though, I have overwhelmingly positive things to say about these built-in LEDs, and would recommend the Pro version of the board to anyone that's planning on riding a lot at night and is interested in this style of board. The second topic that I want to discuss in more detail is the app. Like other WowGo products, the X5 is compatible with the Tuya Smart app. The app is really intuitive and easy to set up and use. It allows for a very simple configuration and tuning of the board settings, which I think is awesome and is particularly useful for beginners so that they can work their way up on the board. The app can also be used to control the lights, which is just another nice feature. The final miscellaneous topic that I have is the fully enclosed belt drivetrain design. This design is awesome for protecting the drivetrain from debris and the abuse that e-skates go through. However, it is a little bit annoying when it comes to maintenance. I had to tighten the belts the other day after breaking in the board, and it was a few extra steps compared to the typical belt drive to do my usual maintenance. Overall, I'd say it's a net positive and a nice feature to have, but the maintenance is something to be aware of. After spending the last 2 months with the WowGo Pioneer X5 Pro, here are my concluding thoughts on this board. The big takeaway for me is that this is one of the best boosted style street boards at the moment. The X5 Pro is well built, includes some great features, and has competitive specs. At the $1,079 price point at the moment, you're getting a high-performance boosted style street electric skateboard that goes 34 miles an hour, has a range of over 20 miles, has solid hill climbing, and has an ultra smooth and powerful acceleration. More importantly, the board comes loaded with features including built-in LEDs, an app to tune the board to perfection, CNC machined trucks, a sealed belt drive, and that 14S battery. When looking just at the specs, the X5 blends in and is really similar to some of the competing products, so it's meeting those high-end specifications you'd expect for a product in this price point. To me, what separates this board are the high stock top speed with that 14S battery, and more importantly, the unquantifiable things like the features and ride feeling. For example, I personally love this deck and it suits my ride feeling preferences. Overall, I think that this is a board worthwhile of consideration for anyone looking for a premium boosted style street board that finds these features compelling and important to them. That's all I have for this review video. If you're interested in learning more about this product, we will have a link to the X5 in the description below. If you have any questions or comments, please let us know in the comments section below and we'll make sure to get back to you. And if you enjoyed this video and you'd like to see more like it, please make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more electric skateboard reviews. Thank you all so much for watching, and we will see you guys in the next video.